Hey guys, wow, what a week it has been. Today is Sunday, April the 16th, I believe. The accident that I had that I've been releasing videos all week was on Thursday, a week and a half ago. And if you've seen any of the previous videos, I've vlogged the first 5 days of my recovery, but I have not vlogged the last 5 days. And I wanted to do a video to kind of bookend this series and talk about how I'm feeling now and how I'm doing. Those first 5 days were really rough because I wasn't able to get around much and do much. And you might hear my puppy crying. She's out on the other side of the door folding laundry with Michael, and she'd rather be in here with me. Those first 5 days were really, really rough because I was pretty much couch bound, getting out to go to the chiropractor, but I wasn't able to get around any more than that. And I was pretty bored, pretty sad, pretty lonely. So it was easy to kind of vlog, grab my phone at any point. But after those 5 days, I started to notice significant improvements. I was getting around better and better every day, and I just kind of fell off, forgot to keep recording, and was enjoying being able to get around so much better that I just stopped. So this morning I took updated photos of all of my road rash wounds, and I will put them on the screen so that you can see them. I think they're all healing really, really nicely. And it may just be the timing of when I got the supplies, or maybe it is the supplies themselves. I'm not sure, but my chiropractor's mother works in the same clinic as kind of a holistic Chinese Oriental medicine type clinic, and she gave me 2 things to put in the road rash, and it has helped the wound so much. I had never heard of this. This is calendula. Don't really know exactly what it is. The active ingredient is just calendula, which is a healing agent, but it says it soothes and heals, and that is absolutely for sure. When I put this on that wound, it feels so much like it's been calmed down. It goes on just a smidge cool. It's a good moisturizer. Plant-based relief. And I tell you what, for all Michael and I are carnivores, we love plant-based anything if it's not something we're eating. And then she also gave me this. I don't even know what this really is. It literally just says external wound powder. She explained it to me at the time, the day she gave it to me, which I think was Wednesday of last week, and told me how to use it. And she gave me a very detailed explanation of what it is and what it does. But I didn't, it kind of went in one ear and out the other. I needed something new to clean the wound because I was running out of the Neosporin and things that I had. Just says clean and dry wound, dust powder over wound, and apply as often as needed. So I had nothing but time, so I did this about 4 times a day, which might have been a little bit of overkill. I found the sweet spot to be mix these 2 together, paste it on in the morning, let it stay on all day, clean the wound in the evening, kind of let it air dry, put the 2 together again, sleep with it that way overnight, and I feel like the wounds have made significant progress, especially the 2 on my left leg that were so gnarly and ugly. So whatever this is, I'm gonna have to ask. Next time I see her, I will ask. Whatever these 2 things are, they're kind of a magic combo. I'm absolutely delighted at how much better the wound bed looks. There's still gonna be pretty big scar left behind where the worst of my road rash is. I'm putting Moderna on them every night, but honestly, they're pretty much all healed. This one still has a little bit of a scab left. They're pretty much all healed over. Still have a little bit of bruising here. That's the other thing I've been using is a ton of arnica everywhere. Anywhere that feels swollen or has a visible bruise, I've been using arnica, and this stuff is pretty awesome. Other than this, pretty much the only bruise which you saw in the photos, there's a bit of a kind of a halo around my right thigh wound, and I have a bruise on my right kneecap. But arnica's been great. Those are the 3 things I've been using, and at this point, 10 days later or so, the road rash is really the only thing that I'm dealing with. I try not to look backwards and think about how grateful I am that this wasn't worse, because it leads my brain kind of down a dark mental path of what could have happened, and what could I have done differently, I just don't want to go there. I am grateful that this wasn't worse, and I am grateful that my dog wasn't with me, and that there were only the casualties was a coffee pot and a GoPro. Like, I'm so grateful for those things. I'm also grateful that it just so happened that I was off work for basically the entire month of April. The reason being, Michael's mom came down for a week to visit at the beginning of April, and then we had Easter with my family, and then we had 1 week in between that and actually a trip that we had planned months back to go to Ireland next week. It's actually it's a work trip for Michael, but we were going to tack on a few extra days of sightseeing. So I had more or less the whole month of April off work, and this was the only week that I was going to be working. But I put in my 2-week notice 2 weeks to the day before I got hit by the truck. I was actually supposed to be at work that day, but I put in my notice at my job and just decided to take all of this time off work and look at picking up a new job or new shifts at my other job when we got back from Ireland. So I was just incredibly fortunate that I had the time off of work, that I didn't have to call. There's no way I would have been able to work, but I didn't have to call out. I didn't have to leave them short-staffed or in a lurch. I was already off anyway, so I could make recovering a full-time job. And I just, if someone told me, Julie, it's non-optional, you absolutely must get hit by a truck in the middle of the highway, but you can plan every other detail around this scenario. I mean, I was off work. I didn't have my dog with me. Michael was half a mile away. My phone is completely unscathed. I was able to call him for help. There were witnesses there that saw what happened and were able to help me. The truck barely, I think he hit me in the left hip, but he just kind of glanced me more or less. Yes, he threw me, but my injuries were more so from, I believe my injuries were more so from the fall into the road than the truck. He didn't hit me and run me over. Like, everything about this whole scenario just was absolutely as perfect as it could be, short of not getting hit at all. But anyway, how do I feel? I am in almost, I hate to say this because it sounds so flippant, but I'm almost in zero pain at this point, a week and a half later. I'm still a little bit tight in my whole back. My neck gets tight, upper and lower back get tight. And my chiropractor gave me, or actually loaned me, I will be giving it back to her, this, and I'm going to do a whole review on this thing. Oh, this is terrible. I've forgotten what it's even called. I will have to put it on the screen. It's a ball. You can get this on Amazon. This is, I think it's called MyoStorm, but I'll put it on the screen. You turn it on and it, oh no, the battery's dead. I've used and abused it. You turn it on and it starts vibrating. And you put it on your back up against I can do it on the couch, but it probably would be better if it was like on a wall or the floor. But I use it on the couch, and you just roll it up and down your back as it vibrates. And it also gets really, really hot. It heats up. It's like a warm vibrating massage. It's the best of everything. I'm obsessed with this. We have one in the Amazon cart, and the only reason we haven't ordered it is because since the Ireland trip next week, I don't want it to be sitting in my mail for a week. But definitely going to be buying myself one of these. This thing is amazing. So I use that whenever my back is sore and tense. I am taking some over-the-counter medicines to help with the pain. Those first 3 or 4 days, I forget how many now exactly, I was taking 2 gummies cut in half, so 4 times a day, half a gummy 4 times a day. I bounced back and forth a couple times. At first it was naproxen. That wasn't helping me at all, so I switched over to ibuprofen, which did help for a few days when I had more like muscle pain. But as the pain started to diminish and the swelling was still so bad, I switched back to naproxen. So I'm taking the max dose of naproxen. I think I'm taking it twice a day now. And I'm going to continue to do that until I am pain-free and until all the swelling is gone. But other than that, the only other thing that I've been taking is arnica. I did not know this, but arnica comes in pills. They're sublingual and they dissolve under your tongue. So I've been taking those to help with swelling, and just like the gel, they work great. What else? Couldn't have done this. I could not have done this without Michael. He has been an absolute angel this whole week. From the time I called him in the street right up until today, he wants to help me even more than I need help. Those first 5 days, he was doing everything for me. He made my food. He took care of me in every way, and he took care of our dog since I couldn't do that. And I started to get my feet and get some independence back about 6 days in, where I was leaning on him pretty heavily, but less and less every day. At this point, I think I'm pretty much completely independent, but there's things that I like him to be in the house just in case something goes wrong. Like when I get in and out of the bathtub, I just like to know that he's in the house in case I slip. It's getting easier and easier. That knee still doesn't quite completely bend, and I still have a little bit of pain right here. I no longer think that rib is cracked. I was convinced I had cracked that rib because the pain was so incredible. I'm pretty sure it's just one of these little muscles that got pulled or twisted or injured in some way, but he's still around if I need him, and he would help me more than I need help if I needed him, but he's been an absolute angel. I've texted his mom so many times and told her I couldn't do this without him. I can't imagine doing this with a partner who's not as supportive as he is, and I'm so grateful for everything he's helped me with. Couldn't have done this without my chiropractor either. I specifically have not mentioned her name or her practice. I don't think I have, because I don't really know if that's the right thing to do, to call her out. She doesn't know about my YouTube channel, and she doesn't know that I'm vlogging these days. I've never told her. And I wouldn't want her to feel like I had misrepresented her or in any way. The first time I went to her, like 2 hours after the accident, and when I went back later that afternoon and even the next day, she was still like strongly encouraging me to go to the hospital and get checked out. And I just didn't feel like I needed that, so I didn't. And that was against her advice, but I would have gone had she refused to treat me. And I didn't tell her that, but I was waiting to hear her say that she just wouldn't treat me until I'd been checked out. And since she never said that, I just continued to go, and I didn't go to the hospital, and it all worked out. But I have seen, let me count, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have seen her 9 times in 10 days. 9 times, twice, the first day, twice. I have been to see her every single day that she was open since this accident, twice on the first day. And I'll be going to see her tomorrow before I get on the flight to Dublin. I am just a believer that the body can heal itself from most things. That is not to say it can always heal itself without Western medicine, but I truly believe the body can heal itself if you just allow it to. Fight through whatever you need to fight through and allow it to be open and move. And that's why I wanted to go to the chiropractor so much. A lot of what she was doing for me was more palliative. There wasn't like a people say chiropractors they crack, there wasn't a whole lot of cracking. I couldn't have cracked. I was way too stiff and in way too much pain. But she has just an absolute arsenal of tools that she can use on me. When I would walk in, she would want to know what my biggest complaints were and my biggest barriers to making any more progress. And she's like, well, that's what we're going to focus on today. One time, I just had such a blinding headache. I could hardly get through the day. The pain that I was in and everything else was almost in the background because of this blinding headache. I couldn't push myself to get better because my headache hurt so bad. And so she spent the whole session really working on my neck and my upper back and shoulders. And the first time I walked in and said, I want to get around and start doing things, but I can't because my knee won't bend. That's when she started blading it. And she just I can't even describe it. It's like a butter knife almost. She started just working that fluid on from my calf on through my knee up my thigh, and it felt like leg can breathe finally. And then every time I've gone back since, that's what she has done. That she has gotten the fluid out of my knee, And every time she did it, I would limp into her office and walk out of it better. And then I would kind of sort of limp into her office and walk out better. Every session has made me take another step on the ladder towards recovery. And I'm so grateful to her for that. I would love to call her out by name. And at some point, if she ever finds out about this channel, I would probably do a whole video or a whole series just on her. I would love to have her on recording what she thought about this whole week. But she from the get-go was telling me I should go get checked out at the hospital, and she has ways of checking to see if my bones are broken, and I didn't want to go to the hospital and get x-rayed just to be told what was broken, because nothing was broken that was going to have to be surgically repaired anyway. So I didn't want to go get an x-ray to see if I had broken ribs or not, and I didn't want the pain medicine. I didn't want the bill. Frankly, I didn't want the hospital bill just to tell me if my ribs were broken or not. So a chiropractor who is truly skilled at what they do can find out if your bones are broken and adjust their adjustment accordingly, and that's exactly what she did. None of my bones were broken. We had a question if this one might be cracked, but I don't think that it is, or maybe cracked isn't the right word, but damaged in some way, bruised maybe. But yeah, she was all on board for me going to the hospital, and I didn't. I do not want to come across like I'm telling anybody what to do. If this happens to you, please, for the love of God, go to the hospital, get some help. Even if they find out that you're fine, don't do what I did. Do what I say, don't do what I do, and I'm saying you should go get checked out. I chose not to get checked out. I'm a nurse, Michael's a physician, and we have a really great chiropractor, and it was always an option. Michael would have taken me to the hospital or called 911 at the drop of a hat if I asked him to. It was always an option for me to go. When I was in the street, all I wanted to do was find out, can I move everything? Can I walk? Can I breathe? Can I inhale deeply? Am I making sense? Am I conscious? Is there any sign that is there a bone sticking out? Is there a gut hanging out? So none of those things were there. So I thought, well, I don't need the ambulance ride. I can at least let Michael take me. Brought me home, took a good hard look at the wounds, and I thought, if these wounds need professional attention, we will go to the hospital then. Well, we were able to wash them out, and at the time, what we had was Band-Aid wash and Neosporin. So that was painful. We cleaned them all up, got all the road trash out of them, and I thought, well, now I'm concerned what if there's internal bleeding, and that's where I really took a gamble, because I didn't know if my spleen was injured or if I had internal bleeding of any type of sort. And I made the decision that I didn't think that I did, but I was scared. I was very scared, and had any of the other two important people in my life been scared also, I would not have hesitated to go to the hospital. But I stand by the decision that I made, but I do not encourage anyone else to do what I did. I would always stay to err on the side of caution. And I didn't err on the side of caution, and it worked out well for me, but I do not want anyone to think that I would advise anyone else to do that. But it worked out great, worked out fine. After about day 5, I started every single day, felt like I was making bigger and bigger changes. So where I'm at today, this is Sunday. I really had to push myself yesterday. Friday. This is Sunday. Friday was the first day that I had to push myself, and I didn't really have a choice or an option about it. I had an appointment to get my hair done, and because I was still trying to go to Ireland next week, I had so many grays showing, and I didn't want to miss it, but I was really worried. Am I going to be able to get in and out of the chair and in and out of the station where they wash your hair? But I decided to just kind of wing it anyway. Didn't even think about the fact that I was walking into the salon with these huge, open, raw, rashy road rash. Personally, I believe in leaving wounds open to the air, if at all possible. Do never run the risk of infecting it or it getting injured further, or a dog licking it, or any of those things. Never would I ever leave it open to the air if I wasn't pretty sure I could control the environment. But I do think that wounds heal. This type of wound, superficial dermal wounds, just tend to, for me, they tend to heal better if they're open to the air. And I have been going around the house in just shorts and leaving them open to the air, and I didn't even think about it till I walked into the salon and I realized, oh my goodness, everyone's probably thinking I have brought disease and blood and just, but no one did. They were all so nice about it. I explained what happened, and they were like, it had these two things on together. Together, when you mix them together, they create kind of like a scab anyway. It looks like a scab. It's very dark red, but I explained that it's got, wound powder on it, and it's been cleansed and, sanitized, but it's open, and they were fine with it. I had no trouble getting in and out of her chair and in and out of, I was so surprised I had no trouble getting in and out of where I washed my hair. I was a little slower. I didn't know, it's not like I was bouncing around, but I wasn't in pain. So I was encouraged by that. That was Friday. Yesterday, that was Saturday, was the first time I went to the grocery store in a week and 2 days. Michael and I went to Publix, and it's the first time I've gone to the grocery store in a long time and had fun. But I was so happy to be off the couch and out of the bed. I was so happy to be out of the house that I just kind of lollygagged. I just wanted to look at everything in the grocery store. We bought food for 2 days worth of carnivore. We bought food for Abra while she's at the babysitter's. I used the buggy just so I could lean on it a little bit, and had a great time at the grocery store. And then today we went to Walmart, same thing, just kind of walked around looking at everything. And I took Abra on her regular routine walk, which is about 1.25 miles. I did the whole thing barefoot. I'm still, those road rashes on my right foot still make it really, really painful to put shoes on. And I did wear shoes in the grocery store in Walmart, but I walked the whole 1.25 miles barefoot with Abra today, and I did fine without a buggy to push. Michael was there with us, but I didn't have to lean on him at all. I did fine. I do still limp a little bit, and I'm not in any pain at all in my legs. The limp is mostly that left knee is still a little swollen, and the skin that's healing and scarring is not stretching completely. So I can walk with to have to straighten it and bend it and straighten it and bend it as I'm going through the motions of walking. It's not as fluid as my right knee. So I end up shifting a lot of weight onto my right leg, and I do walk with a little bit of a limp. That will go away. I have no doubt of it. Everyone believes that will go away. It's just going to take some time for that to go away. The scars are going to be, I've thought about covering them up with tattoos, but before I even think about that, I have no tattoos. We're going to see Moderna. I've been putting a heavy dose of Moderna on them every single night. Any skin that isn't broken and is scarring, I'm putting the Moderna on it. I've had good luck with Moderna in the past. And actually at Walmart today, we found out, I didn't know they made a Moderna with sunscreen in it. So that's great. That means I can start going back out to the pool and protect that scar. I've really, 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 really missed laying in the sun every day. That brings me a lot of peace and joy, but didn't want to take these open wounds to the pool where there's people. Not everybody would understand. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good wrap up. I have told some of my friends what happened, and I've kept it from most of my family. I didn't want to worry anybody. The last thing they need, my family is all in North Carolina, so except my brother who's in Turkey. I didn't want to worry anybody, and I wondered at first if that was a good idea, especially if things were to have gotten worse. Speaking of, the day after it happened, Michael let his boss and everybody he works with know that it happened, and they were very quick to tell him to stay with her, look after her. They were concerned about his mental health, my mental health, and they told him to just cancel Ireland. And we decided to hold off on that and just kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. I really feel like there was a huge desire in me to get better, but the thought that if I really, really pushed myself, I might be able to still make it to Ireland. And mentally, I was clinging to that. And yes, I wanted to get better, but there were times when I was in so much pain and I just could hardly push through it. So stiff, so discouraged sometimes. But I just kept thinking, if you push really, really hard, maybe you can go to Ireland. My low ball goal was just, can you take care of yourself while Michael goes to Ireland? Because I don't want to do any. He needs to be there. This is a work trip. They would have let him off the hook, but I didn't want him to have to let them down. His job is really important. I don't want him to let his team down. So I was like, well, the low bar goal here is I'm really pushing myself so that I feel comfortable taking care of myself if I'm home alone for days without him. And those first 5 or 6 days, there's no way I could have taken care of myself without him. But then when I kind of saw, light at the end of the tunnel where, I can take care of myself, then it became, well, can I go? And mentally, I just threw myself on that life raft of, this is a dream. I've wanted to go to Ireland for years. I love to travel. I live to travel. And I just kind of fixated all of my effort on making it to Ireland. And Michael was a lot more concerned about it than I was. I was just hell-bent on it. And here I am. I will be limping through the airport, checking my luggage so that I'm completely hands-free. I don't want to have to carry anything with me. But at Walmart today, I actually bought a whole bunch of, for the first time, I'm actually going to cover this wound on my thigh. I bought some non-stick covering dressings for it and some cling wrap so I can cover the wound, mainly because I will have to been wearing shorts all week. I live in Florida. It's hot. I am going to have to wear pants, to get through the airport because it's so freezing cold in planes. So I'm going to cover the wound so that it doesn't upset anybody and doesn't leak into my clothes, or the wound care supplies leak into my clothes. But I think I'm ready. I'm going to have to pack as soon as I get off the phone here with you guys. And mentally, I need this. I really need this. It's not a reward as much as it is a goal that I've really set for myself to recover, and now it's a reward. So I don't think there's anything else I forgot to say. If so, maybe editing Julie will pop in. Abra, she was on my list. My little dog. She's more than 2.5. She's almost 3. She was our pandemic puppy. I call her a puppy because she still looks like a puppy even though she's 3. She's been a real boost to my mental health this week too, because she's been an absolute snuggle buddy. Anytime I was laying on the couch, she knows when I'm in pain, and she would leave me alone sometimes, and that made me sad because I'd miss her. But she would play, Rough House with Michael and go for a tumble with him, or a walk. But then she would come snuggle with me, and those first few days, she was so determined to lick all of my wounds, and of course I didn't let her. I wasn't going to let her lick my wounds, but it was a real struggle to keep her off of them because she knew that I was hurt and she wanted to make me better. That was adorable. We humans, we don't deserve dogs. I know this has been kind of random and all over the place, but that's all I've got to say. If I think of anything else, editing Julie will pop in and say it, but don't do what I did. Do as I say, not as I do. But this is how it worked out for me. I'm not fully recovered yet by far, but I can safely say that barring another freak accident, I will be. And it will be a lot sooner than I could have dreamed possible a week ago. And I credit that to Michael for helping me, pushing me, encouraging me, keeping me calm when I was hysterical, helping me get to the root cause of problems and fix them. And then my chiropractor too. The two of them more or less put me back together. And I don't know how long it'll be before I'm back to baseline where I was, 2 weeks ago. But I have no doubt that I'm going to get there sooner rather than later. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this if you sat through it. If anyone's been through a similar situation than what I've been through this week, I'd love to hear about it. We can talk about it. It's kind of something that kind of bonds you to people, I think, when you've got an experience that you've shared. So I hope everything is going well for you guys. I'll see you in another video. Bye, guys. All right, there is one more thing I wanted to talk about that I've noticed has been a thing that has been happening ever since the accident. For a record, I never lost consciousness, and I don't think I bumped my head, although I did have a little bit of a wound right here, but I think that happened, maybe in the aftermath or something. But I have noticed some changes, and I wanted Michael here for this part because I don't really know how to describe it very well. But I've noticed a few little changes with my brain, and we're all certain that I did not have a concussion. Jump in and help me here. How to describe it? I know that something is off, but I can't really put my finger on why it's off and how to fix it.
I think you might have had some whiplash activity. It's funny, people think whiplash is only involved in cars and getting hit on the football field, and that's not true. I think her brain went sideways, and although her head didn't actually hit the pavement, I do think that there might be a little bit of inflammation or probably not bleeding, but a little bit of swelling around some of the small veins in her brain, just because it seems to be based on short-term memory, and it's not necessarily loss, it's repetitions. So she'll repeat things over more than once, or she'll repeat something that I said to her previously, and processes. If there's something that she would have done completely, it will only be sort of done, but not done to completion because her brain starts focusing on something else.
I feel like I can't follow through with things.
And if you look at the neurology behind it, it's one of two reasons. It's what we just said. It's some sort of blunt trauma to the brain because of the action of, being tossed in the air. We even looked at it today about how far she was tossed before she hit. Or it still could potentially be the brain trying to protect itself from the emotional aspect of the trauma from the accident. So both of those are likely. We're not going to CT her head and see if there's any swelling there, but it's something that we continue to watch, and it's nothing long-term. It just seems to be, wow, it just seems to be small random
I know
little
I'll
things.
be talking to Michael, and then it's like I don't space out, but it's like I'm carrying on a conversation, and all of a sudden I realize I have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. Like, I've been having a conversation, and then it's like it wipes like an Etch-a-Sketch in the middle. Or I'll ask him a question and he'll answer me, and I'm looking at him and I'm listening, and I have absolutely no idea what the answer to my question is. I will start a task, like the most recent example is I will start a task and not finish it, and then move on and get distracted and do something else and not finish that and move on and get distracted. And I was never like that before. I was a very detail-oriented, schedule-oriented, start to finish, ABCD kind of type A type person. I've never just left something in the middle and gotten distracted. I'm not ADHD at all. Like, I've never gotten distracted and left something undone. So it shocks me when I'm going around the house looking at things I started and didn't finish. I know sometimes when I'm off or things aren't quite right, but I don't really know how to define why they're not right or what is off. I do repeat myself a lot, and I don't realize when I'm repeating myself. But I had my hair touched up today. She had to fix a little mistake she made 2 days ago, and a couple times she told me I was telling her things I had literally just told her 2 days ago. Little things like that, any other examples you can think of?
No, I mean, I think you covered that. There are times when you'll say something or I'll say something and you'll look at me, and I know that you're actively trying to process it, or you say something to me and then it's almost like you second guess yourself as to whether or not you said the right thing, or if you had just heard it from me and you were repeating it back to me. Yeah. So again, both of the scenarios are just as likely. Both of them are not long-term.
Unfortunately, I have not had to go back to work yet. I'm a nurse. I would not want to go to work if these things were happening.
You've not got back in
I have
behind
not
the steering
gotten
wheel.
behind the wheel of a car, and I have no intentions of doing that anytime soon. I worry about what if scenarios. Like, what if I kind of like, and it's not like I'm spacing out. Like
No, you're not losing time.
I'm not losing time. I'm not losing consciousness or any of those things. It's just like I will look at something and not know what it means, or he'll tell me a sentence and I can't make any sense out of it. And I would hate to be behind the wheel of a car, and it just makes me worried about what would happen if I was driving. Would this happen or not? And then I'll have like a whole day or long periods of time where absolutely nothing happens. So it could very well be my brain trying to deal, because I have not dealt with the emotional trauma. I have only dealt with my wounds and my injuries and recovery and trying to focus on getting better. So it could just be my brain trying to protect itself. I don't know. But it's something interesting I wanted to put in this video. And I wanted his perspective too.
And that again, either one could take several weeks to go through, at least to get the brain back. I won't comment on the emotional stuff. But no, we're doing what we can. We're watching it. We're not really taxing the brain. I guess the most that you're doing as far as that goes is the editing and things like that, but it's not like you're reading education journals or trying to test, we're not testing your brain. We tried to watch some
Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock on YouTube the other night, actually 2 nights in a row. One of the nights I was able to crystal clear focus, like they were breaking down complicated science into very, very tiny bite-sized pieces, and I was understanding everything they were saying. And then the second night they were saying things like dirt is brown, and I'm like, what is dirt? It kind of comes and goes, and it's something to keep an eye on, but I do believe it will pass.
The one thing that Julie probably forces herself, even subconsciously, to forget is that we're only a week and a couple of days out. And so to expect, I know physically she's bouncing back much quicker than probably anything internally, including the brain. It's going to take a lot of time, and I've been a lot more cautious with her than I would have been with myself, and trying to get over it, especially with this big trip that we have coming up tomorrow. So yeah, that's, there's pluses and minuses to that. I understand the cathartic experience I think she could have in Ireland itself, but I also, I don't want to sit back, and so something like this I think is going to be great, but I don't want to tax the physical side of her to help her mentally. I guess we could argue which one is more important. Mentally, I think is, but the last thing that I would want is for something to happen and to set us back physically from how she's done so far. And so, we're just, we're taking it day by day. And I think if I can get her over there and get her in the hotel room, that's literally all she has to do until it's time for me to leave. But I think, we're going to do little pieces at a time, and, let the brain kind of heal.
You've been amazing.
On its own.
You've been so amazing. He has. I could never, ever have done this without your help and support. Emotionally, physically, mentally, all of the above. Well, I really appreciate it. All right. Well, before we get emotional, because now I feel like I'm going to cry, I wanted his perspective. He is a physician, and he knows a little bit more about these things than I do, and we are not worried about it. Definitely thinking it probably is not long term.
Right.
And we are going to keep moving forward, making progress day by day.
That's right.
Together. I love you.
I love you.
Okay, off to Ireland.